Hey guys, this is Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and today I'm jumping in with my Q&A video. Last week I asked people to submit questions of any kind, anything about tarot reading, mediumship, weird goings-ons in my home, questions for Wally, questions on how to get swole, like any sort of questions. And so I have written all those questions down and let's jump right into it. You may notice I am in my unicorn outfit, and that's just because as I was kind of going through my closet, I realized I was like, you know what? I haven't worn my unicorn pajamas in quite some time. So there's always room for a little bit of unicorn in your life. So the first few questions come from Miss Tracy 2. And she asks, what do I use in my hair for my luscious locks? Well, nothing too fancy. You know, I'm a pretty low maintenance kind of gal, even though my hair is kind of long. It takes a couple of different products, but I use just a shampoo and conditioner that I get at Costco. It's Orlando Pita. It's the like gloss formula, like gloss treatment, just to keep my locks glossy. I don't blow dry my hair. The only time it gets blow dried or straightened is when I actually go see my hairstylist, which is my friend Maria. And she touches up my roots, and she gives me a little trim every 6 months so that I'm not constantly sitting on my hair. And she just makes sure that it's always nice and healthy. But that's the only time like a blow dryer touches it, or it gets flat ironed, because she likes to give me the share hair, she calls it. But yeah, otherwise it's just that shampoo, conditioner, and I like to use Moroccan oil. So this is really good. Like I just use a couple of pumps and I work it through my hair after I've washed my hair and I've gotten out of the shower. And I just feel it's, since my hair is so long, that I want the oils from my scalp to get to the ends of my hair so that it's nice, stays nice and I don't want to say moist, but not brittle and not dry. Miss Tracy 2 also asks if I do healing on Wally. I would, I guess, if Wally were ever ill. He's only really been sick once, and there was one time like I was deathly ill and like he was super sick, like he had a little cold too. He was like, he had a little runny nose. It was so sad. So I was kind of like working on healing the both of us. But the only time I really done healing on one of our fur babies was with Presley, our old cat, and I used to do like my little energy healings with him, and he would sit down and he would receive them. And it was only on the day that he actually passed away when I was trying to do an energy healing on him, and he had backed away and like didn't want me to do it at all. So I mean, that's kind of a sad memory, but yeah, if Wally ever needs it, then I'm more than happy to give him an energy healing. Okay. And then she asks my favorite clothes to wear. Well, I like quirky t-shirts, as you guys know. I usually get all my shorts from Hollister, not because I like Hollister the brand, but because they're just like my kind of shorts, because I work out, so I kind of got like a athlete's butt and athlete's legs. So I feel that those shorts just fit me the best, and I like short shorts. I like low-rise shorts, low-rise pants, because I like showing off my abs because I work really hard for them. So I love lots of tank tops, lots of colors. Obviously my favorite color that I wear is turquoise, kind of like the color of my unicorn altar cloth right now. But yeah, I got purples and reds and sequins, and actually, if you ask my boyfriend, he says I have a closet full of costumes. I did get this unicorn outfit from my closet. Then she also asks, what are tips for pampering myself? Well, I've decided from now on, I've tried doing like once a month, I do a nice bath for myself with, my salts and candles and stones, and just make it really nice. I dim the lights and yeah, just say a little, a couple of magical things, and I kind of soak in with my Epsom salts and all that good stuff. I bought a couple of unicorn bath bombs at Walmart because like unicorn. And once a month or once every other month, I try to, I've taken the polish off, but I usually get a manicure and a pedicure. But lately, just to kind of save on money, I've just been getting a pedicure, and then I try to manicure my own nails. But yeah, I mean, that's it, and I take really good care of my body. I try to feed it well. You know, I indulge sometimes, but sometimes, you know, quality over quantity. You know, I try to, you know, always have a really good workout regimen because I feel that is a form of pampering myself. Because, like, you know, if you treat your car like a treat your body like a Lamborghini, you know, it's like, how do you want to treat that Lamborghini? Like, what are you putting in the gas tank? Are you taking it in for regular maintenance? You know, are you keeping it nice and clean and things like that? So I don't know, maybe because I'm dating a car guy, but you know. My favorite flower, jasmine. Oh, jasmine. Our neighbor behind us has jasmine kind of crawling along the fence, and so late in the evening I can smell all that beautiful jasmine. I'm just like, oh. And I wore my jasmine essential oil when I went to Italy, and so that's all I wore the whole time there. So now when I smell my essential oil that I wear, it's like all I smell is Italy. So I've loved jasmine probably my whole life. You know, when I was growing up and I was really small, there was jasmine that grew outside my window, and so I always smelled it early in the morning and late at night. And it just, I don't know, it just to me smells like home. Hey, my favorite TV show. Well, I don't really watch much TV anymore. I mean, I have a television, but we mostly just watch movies, you know, when it's movie night, like maybe on a Saturday. But movies in the past, I really, really loved Star Trek: The Next Generation. Like, if that was ever on, like, drop everything. I even used to record it on a tape recorder so I could listen to it, you know, when I'd be in my bed and I was supposed to be going to sleep. I also really loved the show My Name is Earl. Like, that used to be one of my fave shows. And then I found out how to get Hulu for free through my Sprint account, you know, for my phone. So I watch Ghost Adventures and Long Island Medium. Like, those are currently my faves, but I don't know, I haven't really had time to watch those either. But yeah, those I guess are my current favorite shows. Oh, and I also want to mention Top Gear. Like, my dude introduced me to Top Gear, and although the main dudes, three main dudes, are no longer on Top Gear, they have their own show that they film here in the States. My boyfriend usually watches that, and I'll watch that with him, and I find it rather interesting. So there you go. Missy's Enchanted Channel. She asked the question if Patreon was a thing that, you know, she should do. She said that she noticed I have a Patreon. She set one up, but she hasn't launched it. And is it worth having a Patreon account? I would say, you know, if you really feel like you need the support and backing of other people, and you feel like, you know, what you want to create is really going to benefit them, or, you know, benefit lots of people, I would say, hey, go ahead and set up a Patreon account. You know, I've set up my Patreon account, and I have some wonderful people that are helping to, you know, back me. They are, you know, involved in my business, helping me grow it, and I really love bouncing ideas off of them. I love interacting with them just like I do here on YouTube. I really love, you know, the fact that they want to help me make the things that I have in mind, like my Oracle deck, retreats, and I have all these other things that I have in the works. There's a book that's finished. I just need to do the artwork for it. I mean, you know, there's so many things I want to do, and I'm happy that I have this Patreon account where people are helping me with that. So it's like, you know, investing my money, they're putting their money into it, but they're also putting their own ideas into it. So it's like, I don't know, like we're kind of all in it together. And so if like that feels like something you would really like to do, and you'd really like to create something together with people, not just asking people for their money, but saying, hey, you're investing in this because you have a part of it too, I'd say by all means do a Patreon account. Hey, my homegirl, Inspiring Alien, what up, Mariana? She said, have you experienced extraterrestrial contact in any form? I would say a lot when I was younger, but I didn't know if that was, it was a lot different than the energies I had felt before. And it would be, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe because it was a lot different experiences than I have now. You know, I used to be able to look at the moon right outside my bedroom window, and that's how I'd go to sleep. You know, I'd leave my blinds up and I would just like look at the moon, look at the stars, and I would always feel like there was these, well, I always felt like there was stuff in my house when my house was haunted, but I would always feel like there was these beings in the stars, you know, that, you know, I don't know, I can't really explain it, but, you know, it would feel like sometimes those beings would come down and they'd be watching me in my room, not in a like creepy stalker way, but more like just to let me know that they were watching me and like everything's okay, that they were kind of like taking care of me. I do have this weird connection with the constellation Orion, and I always have since I was little. So when my parents would be coming home from dinner or wherever, I would look out the car window and I'd make sure that I can see Orion. And Orion was always right above my home, you know, when we'd come home. And so I knew that if I could see the constellation, then I knew where home was. And I always just felt like home, even when I'd be really far away, you know, let's say, you know, I don't know, wherever I was, you know, even when I was away at college or, you know, traveling somewhere, if I could see that constellation, I felt safe and I felt like I was at home. And I'm not saying home like home with my mom and dad, but just, I don't know, can't really explain that, Mariana, but yeah, I really feel there is some sort of like extraterrestrial thing going on there, and I just don't have words for it yet. She also asks if I could visit space, where would I go? Oh my gosh, you know, if like I could breathe and, you know, oxygen wasn't a problem, I'd love to just be able to see Jupiter in its entirety. That's always been one of my favorite planets, is Jupiter. There was a time we had to paint the planets when I was like in third grade, and my favorite planet to paint on this little styrofoam ball was Jupiter, and then we had to make the little mobile and everything. But yeah, I've always had this weird thing for Orion and a weird thing for Jupiter. So yeah, if I could just be able to just kind of float in space and just be like, take in Jupiter, like, oh my gosh, that would be so cool. And she also says, or asks, why did I pick white, blue, and pink for my logo, and was there any magical reason behind it? This is really interesting. When I was growing up, I had these vinyl stickers on my, or very large stickers, like I'm talking like on my my closet doors that my mother had put, and one was a moon, one was a sun, and then I had this huge rainbow, and the colors that stood out were the whites, the kind of teal blue, and the pinks, and of course there was purples and things like that. And it just like, I don't know, every time I looked at those stickers, it would really brighten my day, no matter how sucky my day was, you know, even if I was like, I was 4 and 5 at the time, so it was like, and 6, you know, I'd be like, you know, I liked looking at the rainbow. In the 80s, that was a lot of the colors that I wore as a kid. You know, a lot of the shirts that I had were those colors. And one of my favorite pair of flip-flops, which are kind of dying now, they have those colors on them. So this is an old pair of Roxy flip-flops that I have, but it has that teal, the white, and kind of like the purpley pink. And so having those colors really reminded me of like being a kid, childhood, whole world's in front of you, inspiration, anything's possible, magic. And so I really wanted to have it in my logo because it really felt like I could keep in contact with that child that had her whole world in front of her and anything was possible. So when I see those colors, I just remember that magic is real and anything is possible. And Grun Oila, Green Owl, what up? She asks, what is my current vocal range? Well, my low is an E below middle C, and my high is a C above high C. So yes, I have just over a, well, it's like a 3.5 octave range. She asks me about my max leg press. Well, I haven't actually done maxes in quite some time. I haven't done them actually since college. So I can tell you what my rep range is. So I guess when I'm on the leg press, I do, because I like to do single leg press and I do double leg and sometimes, you know, single leg press, I can press with just one leg 180 pounds, and I rep 3 sets of 10. I have no idea what my max is. She asks me what my personal best high jump was. You know, I did high jump a couple of times when I was in high school, but mainly I was a sprinter. I was a 100-meter runner, 200-meter runner, 4x1 and 4x400-meter runner. Me and my girls still hold the records for the 4x1 and the 4x4. 1998, 1999, those records were set. They still stand. I almost matched the school record for the 100. I ran a 12 flat. The school record was 11.99. But you know, I dropped below that when I got to college. You know, I ran 11.6. But for high jump, kind of just out of nowhere, I jumped to 5 foot, but that really wasn't my forte. When I did get to college, they just put me in the 100, and they put me in the long jump, and I had never long jumped before, but my best long jump is 17 feet 6 inches. And then she asked me what my favorite food truck is in San Diego. You know, I try food trucks, you know, sometimes if they're out there, but I'm not really like a huge, like, I have my food truck. I mainly have like my fave restaurants, fave like hole in the walls. You know, I like some of those kind of, I don't know, underground kind of places to eat that are really good. Turf Supper Club is like one of my favorite places. You actually have to cook your own food there, but it's really rad. Like, people don't really understand that restaurant, but it's good. But yeah, as far as food trucks, like, I don't know. She said my fave book of the classics. Okay, I can't really just pick one, so I'm gonna have to tell you. The Great Gatsby. I liked that book. I know a lot of people were tired of it. I read it my junior year of high school, and I don't know, it just really stuck with me. And it may have been because the movie that we watched afterwards, after reading the book, was The Great Gatsby with Robert Redford, and I had the hots for Robert Redford. Young Robert Redford, yes. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know, I just felt really sad for poor Gatsby in the novel, and it just really affected me. Another novel I really loved was Great Expectations, and I believe I read that in 9th grade. Yeah, I read that in 9th grade, and I don't know, I just thought like Estella was such a bitch, but like Pip, like why would you keep pursuing this girl? And so I was always so frustrated with that novel, but I always thought it was really well written. And then there was another novel, it's not really a classic, but it was one that I read in 6th grade, and it's A Wrinkle in Time, and it was so like, I was so into like Star Trek and outer space, which I still am, but I don't know, I just really dug that novel. I remember reading the K too, that was okay, but I really liked A Wrinkle in Time. Okay, my next homegirl, Kendra's Spiritual Journey, asks if I've taken classes to access my ability to be a medium, and would I do a class on mediumship. You know, I've taken tarot courses, just to kind of understand the tarot better or get a different perspective on it, you know, through Vix of New Age Hipster. I did her Woo Woo 101. I've done the Tarot Readers Academy with Ethany and got to, like, you know, learn from different teachers, but I've never actually done a mediumship course. Like, everything I've learned is just me stumbling on my own, and sometimes I think that's the best way to learn. Would I ever do a course on mediumship? I think I would absolutely do a course on mediumship. There's a lot of things that, you know, I think that I would love to teach, you know, just from my own journey of stumbling around and finding what worked for me, what didn't work for me, kind of how I found my way with things. I think that through personal experience, I have something valuable to give to others, and whether or not they would take my approach, at least they can see that there is no one standard way of going about doing something. So I think I would definitely love to do a mediumship course. She also asks, what grades do I teach in school? I am a senior English teacher. The name of our course is ERWC, and it's a course that is equivalent to a first year or freshman year at a Cal State school. And then she asks if I'm doing my dream job. You know, I kind of fell into teaching, and I've taught all different grade levels. I've taught preschool, I've taught 3rd grade inadvertently, and I don't really have a credential to be a 3rd grade teacher. I've taught 9th grade through 12th grade, and I've taught theater, I've taught English, I've taught, like I was like the homeschool teacher for like teenagers who had become pregnant, and I would bring their classwork to them. I was an EL teacher for a really long time, English language teacher. Yeah, gosh, oh, I was a reading and writing teacher. I was a CASI prep teacher back when they used to have a test the seniors would have to take before they could graduate. I don't know, I've taught like so many courses. But yeah, I don't know, I just kind of felt like I was like bumbling along. I had originally gone to college to be a fashion designer. And well, I think at some point it was something that I really wanted to do, but it's just kind of something I've kind of drifted on from now, and I think that that's totally okay. You know, as we get older, our points of view change, you know, we grow out of things, and sometimes we change directions, and that's just all part of growing. All right, Sherrybug D asks, what is my favorite ario to sing? Oh mio babino caro from Giannis Kiki. I also like Il Dolce Suono from L'Amor, and that one, Il Dolce Suono, is from The Fifth Element. I mean, the song isn't from The Fifth Element, but that song was sung, that aria was sung in the movie The Fifth Element with the diva, you remember the blue lady? And I just love singing that in the shower. I actually sang that at a like recital one time, and I think it went well till I tried to pretend I was singing an auto-tune like the alien in Fifth Element, but that's like my favorite part to do. Okay, she asks what my all-time favorite crystal is. My all-time favorite crystal is chrysocolla, man. I love me some chrysocolla. I have so much chrysocolla. There's actually a ton of chrysocolla sitting right next to me. I don't know, the energy of it just feels really calm, really protective, really healing. Makes me feel like the ocean, and you know, I live right by the ocean, or at least 20 minutes from the ocean, 15-20 minutes, depending on traffic. She asks what my favorite deck is, so I decided to pull my favorite tarot deck and my favorite oracle deck. Okay, my favorite tarot deck of all time is the Osho Zen. I have a lot of favorites. A lot of my cat decks and my animal decks, I would say, are my faves too, but you know, if I had to fall back on my tried and true, my very first deck, that was the Osho Zen. There was a lot that we went through together, and so there's a lot of like, you know, memories of the going in the way back, you know. So I would have to say yes, the Osho Zen would be my top tarot deck. My top oracle deck is my crystal reading cards. You know, I've never had a bad reading. It's always been spot on. I mean, like a lot of my decks, but there's just something where it feels like this is like there's a actual energy in this, you know, like a friend, and they really want to help you out, and they have your best interest at heart. So yes, definitely these two decks. And then Sherrybug D asks what my favorite book is. You know, there was a book that I read when I was in 4th grade called Departure Point, and I kept mispronouncing it. I would call Depture Point when I was in 4th grade. And I'm sure if I read it now, it would be totally lame, you know, but it was just this like really awesome adventure. And then when I was in high school, I remember when I was in 10th grade, there was a partial class set the teacher had of The Silver Kiss, and it was like pre you know, Edward from, you know, that whole vampire thing that kind of became popular again. But it was like, I don't know, we couldn't put the book down until we finished it. We'd call each other, what chapter are you on? Oh my God, wait till you get to page 182. Something awesome happens. You know, it was like, I don't know. So that was like a really cool book. I've since reread it, and I was like, wow, this is really, really teeny. Very tween. One of my fave spiritual books now, you know, if we want to go spiritual, is my Light is the New Black by Rebecca Campbell. And I think this was one of the first books that has actually like brought tears to my eyes. So I keep it around because I like to flip through it every now and then. And I forgot, there was one other book I read when I think I was in middle school and high school, and it was called The Dollhouse Murders, and that book tripped me out. And there was parts where it was getting so scary, I would close the book and I'd be like, oh, I can't read anymore, it's getting too creepy. But yeah, I guess if I read it again, it might creep me out still. Another book I would recommend that is really good, and I like to kind of flip through it as well, is Laird Hamilton's book, and it's called Force of Nature, which Laird Hamilton, by the way, was just in the news like not too long ago for like rescuing 15 people out of the ocean. Like, Laird, hashtag Laird. No, Laird is like, he and his wife are, there's like these phenomenal like beast people. Like, he lives in Hawaii, and he's like constantly seen like dragging like what looks like a telephone pole strapped to his back and dragging it like this way across the sand. Like, you know, he's just this phenomenal like buff person, you know, and he's not young either, you know. And his wife is you know, used to be a pro volleyball player, and yeah, so in this book he has a lot of you know, he gets into kind of his spirituality, working with nature. You know, he is a surfer, that's kind of what he was known for, big wave surfer. I used to do a lot of surfing back in the days, so that's how I got to know, not personally Laird Hamilton, oh god, I wish, but he also has, you know, exercise, diet, but a lot of his own like little stories thrown in there of like synchronicity, nature, working with the flow of things, you know. And so it's kind of a spiritual book, but it's not presented that way, you know, when they go to sell the book, but it definitely has that feel when you read it. And then my other book from childhood that I just can't get rid of because I still like to flip through it is The Monster at the End of This Book, starring lovable, furry old Grover. I love Grover. Grover was always my favorite. And I would read this book over and over again. I would even read it when I was in high school. Like, I love it so much. It's so cute. Okay, Sherrybug asks, how did I know that I would follow an alternative spirituality, and did I resist it at all? I didn't know that I was like following another spirituality. I always just kind of like did my own thing. I mean, I was baptized later, like when I was in 8th grade. My mom decided all of a sudden my brother and I needed to get baptized. We needed to have our communion, and we needed to get confirmed because the church was having a 3-for-1 deal. and so I had to go to catechism and everything like that when I was in 8th grade. And all of a sudden my mom became like super into the church. We didn't go to church at all actually before that. We used to go to church a little bit, just me actually, when I was in kindergarten and 1st grade, because I went to a Catholic school. And I really liked the priests. When I was there, it didn't feel, I don't know, very like strict, and it felt like, I don't know, you could kind of find your own way with what you considered God and Jesus, even though it was a Roman Catholic church. And then later on, when my mom, you know, had me, you know, got my 3 sacraments and everything, it felt very much, you know, dogmatic. But I did enjoy, you know, knowing that I could pray and connect with another energy, and I would sometimes feel that energy in church, you know, whether you want to call it Jesus or God or whatever, you know. And I would also feel the other people in church, which sometimes used to make me feel uncomfortable. But yeah, I don't think I was like super like I'm, you know, into Catholicism. There was aspects I thought were interesting, you know, like the censer, the incense that used to come around, you know, sometimes the prayers. Actually, my favorite thing to do there was sing. Like, I was in the choir, I was in the adult choir, even though I was a kid. And I just really liked singing. I always felt like singing was my way of praying and connecting with higher energy. And so I think that kind of is why I like to sing now. I mean, I've always liked to sing. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely check out my video I have where it's like my witchy path. But yeah, I kind of always just, you know, I liked reading about different religions, taking what I liked and being like, okay, I can understand that, you know, I could jive with that. And I don't know, my whole life I've just always kind of done my own thing. You know, of course, I'm not super outspoken about it with all of my family. I mean, some of my family I've been more open with and they're like, whatever. And I'm like, really? Cool. Okay, so this is a question for Wally. Well, Wally is asleep just off camera. He's in his little like scratcher box. But Wally, do you like catnip? And what is your favorite way to use it if you do? Okay, well, hold on. I can talk for him.
My favorite catnip is I don't mind if it's dried, you know, and cause then I like to eat it and then I go crazy and it's like I'm totally stoned. This is so great. Sometimes we grow it in the backyard and they'll give me like a couple of pieces of catnip and then I go like really feisty and I start like trying to wrestle their arms for like 15 minutes, but then I'm pretty chill.
And that's what Wally had to say. Let's see, for both of us, what are our favorite toys? Well, Wally loves his red poof. It's literally just a puffball, and he loves his red meese. I like anything Hello Kitty. So I mean, if you didn't notice, also Hello Kitty's behind me. Hey, Sean Brennan, what's up? He says, Wally love, hashtag Wally is life. He asks if I use crystals to charge my cards, and if so, what kind of crystals? There are crystals that actually keep in here. One's a big chunk of amethyst. I have a big chunk of rose quartz. There's a big chunk of just quartz. And if I'm going to do a reading for somebody, those are the stones that I place on top of the decks that I'm going to use. So I don't know, I just really like the feel of them. I like the feel of them in my hands. I like the energy that comes off of them. So I always just keep those stored with my decks so that when I go to do a reading, I'll just actually put them on top of my decks. Pinkoya Crystal had also asked me what my favorite crystal is. So yes, it was Chrysocolla, but then she asked me when did I start liking them. Like since forever. I remember when I would spend summers at my grandparents' house, which was up in Ridgecrest, California. It's up in the high desert. They would have on their property like seashells, because remember at one point, like thousands of years ago, millions of years ago, you know, that part used to be underwater. You know, the desert used to be ocean. And so they had seashells, they had rocks with seashells in them. They had lava rock everywhere. They had these like just really cool rocks with like different colors in them. And I had such this, and every time I went there, I always had to collect all these rocks and I would bring them home. And my mother never let me bring the rocks in the house because she said they were filthy, and even though I would clean them, she would say rocks belong outside. Nobody collects rocks, like that's stupid. I even had like it was like a rock guide, you know, to rocks, and I would just like look at them and I was just like, whoa. And that's me at like 6 years old, you know. And so I'm kind of bummed that when the house was sold, like my mother didn't let me take the rocks with me, and so I'm so sad that all my huge collection of cool rocks I collected from the desert and from wherever I go on my adventures riding my bike, that they were all left there. Like I can actually remember each and every one of those stones because I loved them so much, and I just felt like they were like my friends, you know. I felt like they knew me. Marbles GTI asks, does Wally sense spiritual energy, and does he assist me when reading cards? Well, Wally definitely sees our old cat Presley, just like when I do. When I'm starting to feel some things, I know that he is too, because I can see that he's looking in the same direction I'm looking, and his ears are forward because he's like really intent. So I know, you know, that I mean, there's probably like a whole circus of spirit going on in my house and we just don't really see it all the time. And he's probably like,
There's a circus of ghosts in here.
Reading cards though, I would say our old cat, Presley, was better at that, because I used to fan out the cards and then he would paw the one that I should pick. And so he was really well, he wasn't a puma, he was our sea otter. So he was our little otter that would, you know, choose the cards, and we still miss him quite a bit. Wally, on the other hand, will try to wrestle the cards. He tries to step on my cards. He tries to eat my cards. Sometimes he'll let me place the cards on him, but as far as reading them, like Wally doesn't maybe do as good a job as Presley used to do. Debbie Suvatsi, Suvatsis, I hope I pronounced it correctly. I'm so sorry, Debbie. Snoop Debbie Deb. She asks what my religious beliefs are, past and present. You know, we talked about that. You know, I was not really raised in a religion until I got to middle school, until I got to 8th grade. My mom decided that we were going to be Catholic and that, you know, this and that was going to happen. My dad wasn't really, like, he wasn't into church at all. My mom would try to get him to go and he's like, why? Like, I've never, like, he says, I was forced to go as a kid up until I was like 5, and then I don't know, everybody just gave up. And he's like, so yeah, I mean, you know, church wasn't really his thing. He was more about like you find your own way. He was more like Buddhist, you know, Buddhism, and that's kind of, you know, I have elements of that in my practice as well. Do I go to church currently? No, it's more like the church of wherever I'm at. You know, I believe that church is where I'm at, and wherever I pray or do my spiritual practice, that's my church. What nationalities am I? Okay, well, are we talking ancestry.com or like what my family has told me? Okay, well, on my mom's side, Irish and German. On my dad's side, my grandfather was Filipino from the Philippines. There is French, Spanish, and Italian. When I did ancestry.com, I also found that there was Polynesian in there, and you know, East Asian and a lot of Asian. Well, I knew there was Native American in there as well, from kind of on the border of North America, South America, and that is from my dad's side, my dad's mother's side, because her mother, so my great grandmother, used to talk about the people in the family that were, well, they were Native American, and you know, and some of them would still, you know, dress up as such. You know, they weren't like conforming to like modern world, you know, at the time. Like they were still very much, you know, practicing the old ways and things like that. So yeah. Okay, what foods do I like to eat? Good food. No, I like mac and cheese. I like Filipino food. I like a good burger, like a really good burger, like a Rocky's burger that you can get at in Crystal Point. I like, yeah, I don't know. I like really good Italian food, like gnocchi. Oh, if you can get authentic Italian gnocchi, oh my gosh, like I had when I was in Italy. Yes. And you've never had spaghetti so good, just what you think is plain spaghetti. It was so flavorful and so delicious, and it didn't even hardly taste like spaghetti at all, like that you would get in the United States, the kind that I had in Italy. Like, yeah, I like certain German foods. Like I like ox. I like to get my oxen roll. I like really warm vinegary sauerkraut. I don't know. I have like a taste for everything. I love Salvadorian food like casamiento, French pastries. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if things are not overdone so that they're foo-foo, but just like really taken with care and good spice, but not too overpowering with spice, not too greasy, not too heavy on anything. Like, I don't know, it's kind of my favorite food. How old am I? Well, ladies never tell. No. Well, I guess I'm not a lady, but in June I will be 37. 1981. Do I go to the gym or work out at home? I prefer to go to the gym, but if I don't have time, I work out at home. So during track season, when I don't have a lot of time, I do work out here at home. We have a little gym, which is just in the other room over here. We have a pull-up bar, which is called a stud bar because it's connected to the studs of the house. So you have to tear the whole damn house down if you want to tear that thing down, but that's in the garage. We have a TRX setup. We have a battle rope in the backyard. We have some things downstairs. We have some things under the house, like a whole universal gym system. We have a hyper extension bench. Like, I don't know, we got a lot of stuff. Most of it's like Craigslist, stuff that was for free, but it was brand new. Yeah, we have like the whole gym system here. And then she asks, why don't I want to be a teacher anymore? I kind of talked about this before. I just, you know, I've kind of grown out of it. You know, there was so many things that I used to really believe in, like, yes, the kids need to learn this, but now it's like, you know, why why are you giving them all these tests? And then we find out that the results don't mean anything. They're like, oh, well, we haven't really figured out what we want to do with the results yet, but they do need to take these state tests. And it's like, you know, and I feel like a lot of the things that are put into our curriculum or given as tests for kids is just so somebody high up in, you know, that makes decisions about education can like check off some box that says, hey, look at what we do here in California, you know, top that. I don't really give a about trying to top that. You know, they're always talking about we're supposed to be competing with China. And it's like, why can't we just, you know, do the best we can do? Why do we want to be like somebody else? Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the direction that they're trying to take everything. And then when it comes to like what's best for the kids, like if they're messing up a lot or they're, you know, being you know, really causing like ill towards other kids, it's like, it's okay if their parents make a stink about it, then they can get out of their suspensions. And it's like, you know, as long as your parents are, you know, make a big stink about something, you can do whatever you want. You know, it seems like parents run education now, and I'm not saying parents are bad, but some parents, you know, it's like, well, just give my kid an A because they're a good kid. You know, grades shouldn't matter. And it's like, well, then what are rules for? You know, so I don't know, that stuff just kind of irritates me. Yeah, and I believe in like being fair and kids learning to be good, have good character, you know, and I don't think that that's really taught anymore. And so, yeah, that's just not really my bag anymore. From my Patreon peeps, there was a question from Abueng Analeti. She says, she asks, how do I get myself into the right state of mind for mediumship sessions? And do I have a regular or daily practices that help me open as a channel? If I'm really gonna like seriously like get into some deep mediumship stuff and I wanna like really try and connect with certain people or energies, I will use my apophyllite. I'll get into a meditation, like I create a protective barrier around me, letting in only messages of the highest good. I ask my guides to come in and kind of feel out the energies that I'm talking to, making sure that they're genuine, because I know that there's like a lot of trickster energy out there. You know, and then sometimes just the intention of me being open, I'll automatically feel whatever's in the area. I can usually just, I don't know, I just feel like I want to talk to my grandma, and bam, she's there. You know, and it'll just be like a quick, like, hey, or just like, hey, I'm here. But yeah, for me, it's just, it's gotten easier where I just set the intention of, you know, in a couple of seconds, just bam, you know, if I want to connect, they're there, you know, and I'm connecting to something, then I start, you know, it'll take me a few minutes to kind of figure it out, like, okay, what is it that I'm feeling? Who is this? It could be something I'm smelling or hearing or just knowing, seeing. Yeah, so and then for daily practice, I just, you know, I have a morning meditation, checking in with my guides, my own energy, the energies around me, and I have that practice at night. And I think having that stable morning and evening ritual has really helped me tap into not only what does my own energy feel like, but the energy of my guides, so that I become really familiar with just energy in general. So I know when there's an energy that isn't vibing with me is around, or that spirit's around in general, like I can just feel it. And then from my Instagram, What Rebecca Writes asks, what's my opinion of animism and how do I view deity? My view of animism is that I really truly believe that there's energy in everything. You know, everything that I've even showed you, like, let's say this Hello Kitty, you know, this was man-made, you know, somebody made this, somebody sewed it together. I feel that, you know, energy is, because we're energy, we can put energy into anything that we touch or create. And so in essence, whoever put this together, you know, there would be a certain energy in it. Because I love it so much, you know, I would put my energy in it as well. And so then I think that it resonates with a certain energy. Does that mean that I think that there's a spirit in here? No, but I do think it resonates with, it has some sort of energy. you know, and because I usually associate it with happiness and joy and childhood, that there's a very joyful energy that's, you know, with all of my Hello Kitties or all my stuffed animals or toys and things like that. And so if I'm down, I always say that they bring me joy, that they make me happy, and that's because I think that I've put so much joy and happiness into them that now it kind of radiates back, you know, that energy, you know, is just abundant. You know, energy is always being created, but you can't destroy it. You know, I do believe that there's energy in rocks, you know, not necessarily, you know, some rocks, you know, like Edward behind me, you know, maybe there's a spirit inside, maybe it's just a nature spirit. I don't know what type of spirit. I know that sometimes they talk and I feel their energies. And as far as plants, like, yeah, I believe plants are beings, you know, just like animals. And, you know, science is even proving now that plants do feel pain, you know. When what was it? They did some study where animals are grazing. If the plants are downwind of wherever an animal is grazing, they will change their taste to be more bitter or something that the animal would not like, so the animal doesn't eat them because plants don't want to be eaten. You know, and so that's why a lot of farmers, you know, if they're going to plant something, they make sure that it's upwind of wherever the animals are grazing, so that, you know, they don't turn themselves bitter or ill-tasting. And I found that was really interesting. So yeah, you know, animals have spirits, plants have spirits, trees have spirits, anything in the natural world. You know, I kind of think that everything is natural, even if it's man-made. We are a natural being, therefore, you know, what we have made is, well, it's man-made, but it's not unnatural. You know, I guess unnatural would be made by an unnatural being, you know. But yeah, I think there's stuff in everything. Houses could have energies. My favorite clothes, you know, I think emit a certain type of energy. Yeah, so you know, I'm kind of buy into the idea of animism. And then how do I see deity? I see deity as like, you know, somebody could say, you know, I am, you know, really into the goddess Kuan Yin. You know, somebody else could say, you know, well, I'm into this goddess, and but they share the same qualities. So maybe it's the same energy, but it's just being interpreted differently by whoever's, you know, worshiping or responding or praying to this deity. So I think that, you know, I think these ascended gods and goddesses, these higher energies do exist, but we give them form and we give them like what we think they look like, you know. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, all of us see our deities differently. You know, Santa Muerte, a lot of people see her as a skeletal figure. I see her as a really awesome homegirl, like just a regular, just Spanish chick, you know, and we hang out, you know. And so it's just all in the eye of the beholder, you know, just kind of how we see them. And then, but you know, it's the energy, you know, people they're praying to, like the energy is the same, but how they interpret it or how they see it may be different depending on the person, because we're all different people. Snoop Debbie Deb, Debbie and the Laughter in the Woods both asked about the portals in my house, and if they've always been in the house, and if they cause any problems, do they impact my mediumship? I don't think it impacts my mediumship. I just think it makes my house more active. There are a lot of curious spirits that pass through, which means I just have to do a lot more maintenance on this house. So I have to just make sure the vibration stays relatively high. You know, I have a little cleansing ritual that I do with sage, with sound, with a lot of different things, music. But yeah, so I don't know if it impacts my mediumship in any way. I do know that this house has opened me up just because of all the experiences that I've had, that I think it was kind of responsible for helping to open up a lot of my clairs that had remained dormant because I had shut them down as a kid, and then they just kind of like reopened in this house, because it also does have a lot of energy in here. So for me, I think it's a lot easier maybe than to do my readings in here. It's a lot easier maybe to call on spirit because let's like, you know, there's like a doorway like right nearby. I don't think that the portals came with the house. I think it's on the land because this was used by the Kumeyaay, which are the local Indians. And we still have Kumeyaay Indians here. You know, they, you know, not too far away there. We have tons of Indian reservations. But yeah, I think since the house was built on top of it, it's just like these really old portals of energy, which means any types of energy, not necessarily just spirit, but like angel and whatever, and like stuff that comes in weird forms, like they'll sometimes come through the portal. When we first got here, the energy was pretty chaotic. There was some darker energy here that was responsible for like moving things, opening and closing doors, opening and closing windows, locking doors. And so there was a lot of like really intense activity, what people might almost call poltergeist. But we since had the house, you know, properly cleaned and cleared. That's all since been gone. So now it's just kind of like upkeep and everything's pretty high vibe now. Okay, The Laughter in the Woods and Sammy Menzo, hey Sammy, both asked if there was a part of my spiritual practice that I haven't talked about before. And so this is the very last question. I don't think so. I think I've always shared everything that I do with you guys. You know, I have my witchy rituals that I do sometimes. Part of my spiritual practice is also when I water my garden. You know, I check in with my plants and the nature energies that surround my home. You know, and that's also a time for me to ground after a long day at work. You know, get my energy to calm down again. You know, I have my evening meditation. I have my morning meditation. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I haven't told you guys. I'm always pulling cards for myself. You know, kind of reading up on different spiritualities every now and then. I would say that, you know, mixed in with my, you know, I consider myself more of a like it's a green witch, hedge witch, eclectic, because I have lots of other stuff mixed in, like Zazen Buddhism. There's a little bit of Christianity, to where I think it's, I guess, just the part where, you know, Jesus, sometimes I call on him, but I work with him with Shiva and Ganesha. So it's like, I see them as like a trio. And so if I'm ever needing some extra heavy assistance, like those are the people I call on. And I guess I should call on Wally too. Yay! So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. Oh my gosh, it was really long, but you guys had some really awesome questions. I'd love to do another one another time. And Wally, what do you think? I am the lion tamer, the puma tamer. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm wishing you guys a wonderful day, and if you guys want to catch a reading with me, don't forget to go to www.kittensweightsandtarot.com. I'd love to do a reading with you, and head over to patreon.com/kittensweightsandtarot, where you can join the KWT tribe, get lots of freebies, and get joined in on my business and help me out with that oracle deck, and you get to put your 2 cents in and your creativity in, and we get to create things together. And that's it from me, spiritual homies, so I'll catch you later. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out. Wally, what do you think?
Yeah, peace out.